Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Adam and I like exploring ruins, old architecture, and the natural world, and I tend to believe there is more to the picture than the mainstream narrative. Today we'll look at one of my favorite spots in southern Utah, Pine Valley. It's easily one of the most beautiful areas around, with its tall green trees and higher elevation that really make it stand out from the surrounding desert. There's also a small reservoir that people use for recreation, and there are places for hiking and camping. There's a little town that goes back to the 1800s, settled around 1859, and now has fewer than 200 residents. It also happens to be where one of my favorite hikes is. Here you can see a picture of Martha on the trail. So let's get into some of the architecture that I found. First up is this beautiful old chapel. According to a pamphlet I found outside, it was built in 1868. The story goes that the settlers wanted a permanent church, similar to the ones they had left in New England. The next part of the story is kind of strange, but apparently there wasn't a typical builder available at the time. There was a man who had experience building ships, and he was asked to take on the job. He agreed, but only if he could use shipbuilding techniques. Looking at the building, it definitely looks well built. The structure is solid, and you can still see some of the original weathered brickwork on the chimney. There's also a brick building right next door, which you can see here, and a few old homes in the area that really stood out to me. They have nice brickwork and elegant designs, and they still look like they're in use today. It does make me wonder sometimes if there's more to the story, especially when the craftsmanship feels a bit more advanced than you'd expect for the time period. Just to be clear, I have a lot of respect for the pioneer history, but sometimes I can't help but wonder if there's a little more to the story. In my last video, I shared a quote from Mormon leader Heber C. Kimball, who mentioned in 1858 that there were already empty homes in some parts of southern Utah. I wonder if it might have been a similar case in this valley. Some people in the alternative history community believe that some of these old buildings might have already been here and were simply adopted by the incoming civilization. What is known as the Black Hawk War, which included a series of battles between settlers and Native American tribes, might be one piece of the puzzle. These conflicts stretched across Utah from north to south. There's a brief overview on Wikipedia, but there's not a lot of detailed information. The theory here is that there may have been a more advanced civilization on this continent than we've been told, and that there was a takeover of some kind, followed by an indoctrination and a forgetting. The pamphlet I found also mentions a peacemaker who worked with Native Americans that was involved in settling the area. Considering what we know about the conflicts of the time, I'm wondering if this might be some kind of cover story. And it also says that indigenous people had been living there long before settlers arrived. Another interesting note, apparently the wood used for the Salt Lake Tabernacle pipe organ was harvested from Pine Valley, over 200 miles away. That building, finished in 1875, is still world-renowned for its acoustics and pipe organ. Some have suggested that these pipe organs were an important part of the old world in the form of healing frequencies. Anyway, that was my video on Pine Valley. Let me know what you think. I hope you liked it, and have a great day.